Hey folks, in this episode, I'm going to cover 3 misconceptions that I hear all the time from sellers. I work a lot with sellers and I ask them, why are you selling? What's your motivation? Your house needs a lot of repair. Why aren't you making repairs? And all the time, I mean, more often than you would expect, these 3 misconceptions are what I hear the most from sellers. Okay, so let's dive right in. Um, the methods for selling a home have changed, and they've kind of made old beliefs about what is required to sell a house become obsolete. It's a thing of the past. One of people's most common misconceptions about selling their house is that you have to spend money to make money. And I've heard that. Everybody hears that. Oh, you got to spend money to make money, right? Like it's a thing that you have to do, when in fact it's really not true. Some sellers prefer to avoid the inconvenience of showings. In contrast, some don't have the time to show, or they don't have the desire or the financial means to make repairs, to do things like painting or updating and all the rest of it, right? All the work involved to bring a top market dollar offer for their property. Other home sellers are concerned about the cost of repairs. Direct buyers, though, usually don't care too much about that, right? That's their business. They're looking to buy a house specifically to make those investments. So that's the first thing: prep work and repairs. Not everybody's interested in doing that. And in reality, you don't have to, because there's buyers out there willing to buy your property as is. And of course, naturally, they expect a discount equivalent to the cost of the repairs plus time and energy involved in making those repairs. And so you have to sell to these folks with that in mind. But if you don't want to fork over 20 grand to make a repair, this is a good option for you. Misconception number 2 is that you have to list to sell. You have to list your property on the market, right? Like that's your only option. When it's not. Real estate agents and the old fashioned of listing your real estate on the MLS, it's old fashioned. A lot of people don't do that anymore. You have resources available to you at your fingertips like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com. None of these sites require you to list with an agent. You can list yourself. But still, this is another one of those misconceptions that people have about selling their home. Many homeowners, nowadays are considering selling for sale by owner to save real estate commissions, and no doubt it's a no-brainer. Those real estate commissions are devastating. They're super expensive. Some sellers prefer to keep the commission yet work with a professional. And if that's somebody like you, where you don't know all the intricacies involved in a real estate deal, right? Because how many times does the typical person buy and sell real estate in their lifetime? It's not that common. Some people go their entire life and they never purchase real estate, or they never sell real estate or buy real estate. It's just something that they've never done. They never had the opportunity or the inclination or the want or need. A lot of people are happy renting. But even those of us that do decide to buy and eventually sell, we maybe buy it once or twice. You buy 2 houses, you buy one, and then you sell it 7 years later, which I think is a national average. And then you buy another one and you stay in that. You buy one and you stay in it for forever, for 50 years. You have kids move out, and then you downsize. And so, you're not up to speed on what are all the intricate steps? What's the entire process looking like? It's a foreign thing. Anything you don't do often is going to be difficult. It's going to seem complicated, even though it's really not. And so, going that for sale by owner route, I sometimes think like, oh, well, why don't more people do that? You save on the commission. But the real estate agent does kind of provide, a superficial value in that they walk you through the process. They're basically a shepherd, a guide. But you don't need that because you can follow instructions. You can simply Google it and follow instructions. And I just think that when there's a lot of money involved, people are hesitant. But a good second option to the real estate agent that will save you money on the commission side and also teach you and help you gain some knowledge is working with a real estate investor. And that is a viable option for a lot of folks. Okay, so if we covered the first misconception, which was you don't want to spend money on repairs, which is understandable. Okay, because not everybody has the cash to invest on repairs to make your house marketable and ready to sell. So you don't have that cash. You don't know the process of going through the all the legalities and all the steps involved with real estate, even though it's fairly simple. And I guarantee you can learn it, but you don't know it right now. And so you're like, man, I got no cash. I don't know the steps. What do I do? And naturally you're like, well, I need to find somebody to do this for me. But here's the thing. Okay, so we've covered 2 misconceptions so far. You call an agent today. Let's say you've got a house and it needs a lot of repairs. You call an agent today and you say, hey, look, I want to list my house. They'll set up an appointment. They'll go look at your house and they're going to chew it up. They're going to say, you need to do this. You need to fix the kitchen. You need to do the cabinets. You need to do the outside. You need to paint. And they're going to give you a laundry list of things that they want you to do in order to make your house marketable. These folks they're looking for a layup. They're looking for a slam dunk. And sometimes they don't understand that people don't have cash to make these investments. And so, a lot of folks make these appointments and they end up getting discouraged because they're like, man, I'm never going to have the money to make all these repairs. I wanted to sell today. I want to sell in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. And it's just not a reality with a real estate agent. It's not a reality. You're way, way better off going and listing on a for sale by owner site or listing on Zillow or listing on Trulia or Realtor.com, and you can sell it yourself. Honestly, you could, and you can save money on that commission. But you just got to know how to price it right. Okay? A good option is to reach out to a real estate investor, and these folks will buy your house on a dime. I mean, they'll buy it the next day in many cases if, the title work and all that is fine. They got people that can research the title work and research the ownership, and they'll buy your house the next day. I'm talking about 24 hours. I've bought real estate the same day, gone and looked at it, bought it the same day, did research and bought it the same day. It's a possibility. You just have to find the right real estate investor, and there's various kinds out there, right? Because everybody nowadays wants to call themselves a real estate investor. So if you go out and you start looking for a buyer and you find yourself a wholesaler, these folks don't really buy your property. They're more like low-key real estate agents. They try and secure a good deal on your property, and then they turn around and list it for sale. And, if you work with these folks, they can't close in 24 hours. They rarely can close in a week or 2 weeks. These are entry level for the most part. There are some professionals out there that have a good, strong buyers list, but for the most part, these are newbies, because this is every time you see an ad online about get into real estate with no or low money down or with other people's money, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about putting a house under contract, which obligates the seller to sell to that person, and they turn around and sit on it for 30 days as they find a buyer, and it's unfortunate because it really hurts people. So you got to make sure when you're finding a buyer and you're negotiating these contracts, that you're like, hey, I want to close in 3 days. No questions asked. If you're a real deal, if you got the cash, money in the bank, I want to close in 3 days. Okay? Remember, you're the seller in this situation, and you have a lot of power. So you say, look, I am willing to give you a discount on the price. I'm going to give you a deal, but I want my money in 3 days, right? I want it in 72 hours, or I want it in 48 hours. And if you're giving them a tremendous deal, then you can say, I want it in 24 hours. If you don't give it to me in 24 hours, I'm going to go find somebody else. And have them jump through hoops. You have a lot of the power, especially if you're looking to get cash quick and you're willing to give the property away for a bargain. You can request money next day. I would almost say if you're really giving it out in a good deal, be like, I want money today. Figure it out. Do your research. If you can't do it, I'm going to call somebody else. And see what happens. Worst case scenario is you call 2-3 investors and they can't make it happen. And then you just reset and, do something that's more realistic. But you might as well give it a shot. All right. Kind of went off on a tangent there. The third misconception, and I've kind of already touched on this, but I'll hit it again. The selling process is slow. And look, it doesn't have to be slow. It does not have to be a slow process. But yes, this is another one of the misconceptions that people have about selling their home. Some sellers are willing to pay for the convenience of speed that direct buyers can provide. And that's what I'm saying. A direct buyer who has cash can close within 24 hours. You need to demand that. There's no reason why they can't. They can do title work. They can do research. They understand it and they can do it. And they can provide that money. And when you go to close, you sign the deed, you hold it in your hand, and you basically say, hey, I'm not going to give you this deed until I see the money. I at least want to see a cashier's check made out to me, or I want to see cash, and I want to have it in my hand, and I will give you the deed. You need to demand these things. And I only say it, look, I'm a real estate investor. I purchase real estate all the time. I sell real estate. I buy and hold. I have Airbnbs. I have long-term rentals, which is the buy and hold. And you hear about stories all the time. People trying to scam other folks, people trying to steal. It's a shameful thing. And I take pride in the fact that I like to do repeat business. If I work with you, I want you to come back. I want you to buy more property from me. I want you to sell more property to me if you have more property to sell. And not a lot of folks see it that way. People are short-sighted. They're looking to make a quick deal, a score, right? And just get the money and run when it doesn't have to be that way. I like to build a business around trust. And unfortunately, not a lot of real estate investors do that. You see, one difference is that early on, I didn't have a lot of money when I started, but I didn't make promises that I couldn't keep. And so I looked for real estate that was in my price range. And when I'm talking about my price range, I'm talking about $500, $1,000, right? So a lot of opportunity slipped through my fingers, but I didn't want to get anybody's hopes up. I didn't want to tell somebody, I'm going to buy your house and then sit on it for 30 days and have it not sell or move. I have a conscience. I I I you know, I have humility. I'm not going to do that to people, but not everybody's like that. So just beware. But yes, these are the three misconceptions, and I'll recap them here now. The first one, prep, work, and repairs. Okay, most sellers think they have to do a bunch of prep work, that they have to do a bunch of repairs. You don't have to. You don't have to do any. Honestly, you don't even have to pay your taxes. As long as you plan on selling it that year, you don't even have to pay your taxes, because you'll find a real estate investor that's willing to pay for all that stuff, literally willing to pay for all that stuff just to secure a deal. All right, so that's number one. Doing prep work and repairs, misconception. You don't have to. The misconception number two was that you have to list the property to sell. You have to list it with a real estate agent. You don't have to. You don't have to. And unless you have a house that's in really good condition, it's probably in your best interest to not list with an agent. Because I'm going to tell you now, all the agent's going to do is walk into your house and say, that's wrong, that's damaged, that's trash, that's your green walls ill, that's ugly, paint those beige, make everything a neutral color. They're basically going to try and make the house as easy as possible for them to sell. And I get it. I mean, I understand that. It's their job to sell the house as fast as possible. And that's really it. That's all their job is to sell the house as fast as possible. I would say, I was about to say that it's their job to try and sell the house for as much money as possible, but they're really not incentivized to do that. Now, if your house is getting multiple offers, then yeah, they'll go for the best and highest, but really they're trying to get a commission as fast as possible. It's a turn and burn game with real estate agents. And what do you expect from, anybody can get a real estate license. You literally just need a GED, which is not a lot. Anybody can do that. All right, so that was number two, that you got to list with a real estate agent to sell. And then finally, number three, the selling process is slow. That's a misconception. It is not a slow process. Traditional real estate sales can be slow. They are slow, right? They're going to take at least 30 days. So if you need money in 24 hours, 48, 72, a week, if you need money like in anything less than 5 days, you're going to have to find a real estate investor, a cash buyer. And, ask the cash buyer, send me proof of funds. Send me a bank account. I want to see the money in your bank account just to make sure that they can actually do what they say they're going to do. All right, folks. Well, that's it for this post. Those are the three misconceptions. Of course, reach out to us for all your real estate needs. We are buying real estate in South Carolina. We would love to buy your property. You can find us at palmettolandbuyers.com, or you can call me at 803-201-9137. And my name is Joe, and I am here for you. Take care.